A hard drive wrapped in brass seals arrived at the wrong address. Inside it, a map of the neighborhood. And underneath every house, a camera. 13 hours earlier, Mark Evans stood on his front porch in New Balance sneakers, staring at a cardboard box that didn't belong to him. The address label read, "Wrong. 122 Maple, not 124. But the weight of it, that satisfying dull thud when his sneaker kicked it against the wooden planks, that pulled him in anyway. He picked it up, carried it inside. The tape screamed as his pocket knife cut through it. Packing tape always did that high-pitched wail as it peeled back from the charcoal foam. Inside, nestled in the padding like something precious, sat a hard drive. Black, metallic, heavy. A brass seal covered the SATA port. Property of Vance Development. Do not open. The words stamped in clean white letters. Mark peeled the seal off with his thumbnail. The metallic crinkle of it breaking sent a small charge through him. Why seal a drive? Why encrypt something that didn't belong to you? He carried it to his home office. The desktop tower stood on the floor next to his desk, its innards a mess of neon orange SATA cables. Mark slid the drive into the open bay. It clicked into place with that satisfying mechanical snap. The fans hummed. Dust danced in the blue LED glow. He pulled up his keyboard, backlit, the keys clicking with that familiar mechanical rhythm, and hit enter. The screen flickered from black to a deep red terminal window. Encrypted partition detected. Sub-level 4. System override required. Enter Vance 6 password. Mark sat back. His fingers found the keyboard again. Vance. He'd seen that name before. Vance Development. Vance Industries. The mogul who'd bought up half the neighborhood 3 years ago built these neat little subdivisions with their neat little secrets. The bypass took him 20 minutes. When the 3D wireframe model rotated into view, Mark's jaw dropped. The screen showed the neighborhood, every house, every foundation, rendered in clean red lines that extended downward into a central hub underground. Oak Creek Estates, Phase 2. Not just the neighborhood, the surveillance matrix. He clicked deeper. A folder. Live Feed 124. His breath stopped. He clicked it open. The video window snapped to life. High angle. His own living room, rendered in grainy surveillance quality. He could see himself sitting at the desk, see the monitor with the 3D map still rotating on the screen. A 2-second delay. Just enough to make it nightmarish. The timestamp read, Live 18:02:15. Mark's hand moved without permission. His fingers clicked through the other feeds. Mrs. Gable's master bedroom, her body a dark shape under the covers. Mr. Henderson's study, the man's hands visible counting cash in neat stacks. Blueprints, an architectural rendering labeled The Nest. A bunker system beneath Arthur Vance's estate that sprawled like something from a Cold War nightmare. Then the spreadsheet. Blackmail log, row after row, every neighbor's name, dollar amounts, leverage items, Henderson P. Offshore account evidence, 50K, Gable M. Prescription, fraud documentation, blackmail ready. Evans M. Pending. Pending. Mark stared at that word. His stomach went cold. The drive wasn't a mistake. It was too heavy with purpose, too carefully sealed, too deliberately lost in the wrong house. He didn't have time to process what that meant. The back door exploded. Glass shattered inward, catching the afternoon light like scattered diamonds. A gloved hand reached for the lock. Black tactical glove. White door frame. Then the figure. A man in tactical vest and helmet, moving with the efficiency of someone who'd done this before. Mark lunged for the kitchen counter. His hand found the stainless steel toaster. He swung it by the power cord like a flail, the whole weight of it arcing through the air. The toaster connected with the side of the helmet. A loud ringing clang that shot up through Mark's arm. The man grunted, staggered. Mark drove a knee into his gut. The impact sent both of them crashing into the kitchen island. Bowls of fruit exploded. Apples rolled across the floor, spinning. Mark scrambled toward the garage door. His palm slapped the open button. The metal door rumbled upward, slow and heavy. Too slow. He could hear the man recovering behind him, the scrape of boots on tile. Mark dove into his Honda Civic. The key fumbled in the ignition. His hands were shaking. The engine sputtered, caught, roared to life. He threw the car into reverse. The tires screamed against concrete. The vehicle lurched backward, smashing through a stack of plastic storage bins, sending them flying like children's toys. Cold rain hit his face through the open window as he shot into the night. The rearview mirror showed nothing but darkness and headlights. He breathed. Once, twice. Then checked the mirror again. 2 pairs of LED headlights were gaining fast. The church parking lot was empty and dark. Rain hammered the roof of the Civic as Mark pulled in, his hands still shaking on the wheel. He had maybe 5 minutes before they found him. Maybe 3. The car's LCD screen flickered, switched from the map to something else. A corporate logo appeared, Vance Industries. Then a voice, deep, distorted, filling the small space of the car like something physical. "You have something of mine, Mark. It's too big for you to hold." Mark's hands flew off the steering wheel. On the LCD screen, a photograph replaced the logo. A house, not his sister's, in Cincinnati. He recognized the white shutters, the oak tree in the front yard. The text overlaid on the image read, "Target 2." Mark's breath came in short, sharp bursts. He reached for the laptop on the passenger seat, connected the drive. His fingers flew over the keyboard. Code scrolled down the screen, walls of code looking for the connection, the back door, the point where Arthur Vance was reaching into this car and into Mark's life. There, a protocol string, a connection handshake. Mark severed it. Connection terminated, flashed in green. "I'm not giving it back, you bastard. I'm showing everyone," Mark heard himself say. His voice sounded distant, like it belonged to someone else. The drive hummed in the laptop. Mark pulled onto Route 33 just as his rear bumper met metal, an SUV, blacked-out Suburban. It hit him from behind with the force of a small building. Mark's teeth snapped together. The Civic swerved, tires hydroplaning on the wet asphalt, sliding across 2 lanes before Mark could wrestle it back. In the rear view, 2 Suburbans, both closing. He floored the accelerator. The second SUV pulled into the left lane and accelerated to match his speed. For a moment, they were side by side. Then the lead Suburban drifted right, bumper to bumper. They hit him again, harder this time. The car lurched, and Mark's head snapped forward against the steering wheel, then back. The highway split. Construction zone. Orange cones. A heavy concrete Jersey barrier blocking the left lane. Mark yanked the wheel right. The Honda cut through the cones, crushing them, the plastic crunching under the tires. The first SUV tried to follow. Its massive grille hit the barrier at 60 miles per hour. The concrete didn't move. The Suburban did. It launched upward, airborne for a split second, then came down hard on the other side of the barrier. Mark didn't wait to see what happened after that. He drove. The second SUV fell back. Mark's heart hammered. The highway opened up ahead of him, rain-slicked and empty. He didn't know where he was going. He only knew that somewhere in this neighborhood was a server. A physical location where all of this, the cameras, the blackmail, the reach into his sister's life, was being controlled. An unfinished house appeared like a question mark in the darkness. It was 3 stories of raw timber and yellow insulation, sitting in a development that looked abandoned. Vance Development. The logo was on the property sign at the entrance. Mark crashed through a ground floor window. Glass shattered. He squeezed inside. His flashlight beam cut through the darkness. Yellow insulation, exposed studs, dust. And there, running across the floor like a technological vein, a thick bundle of black fiber optic cables. Mark followed it. The cables led to a basement, to a wall concealed by a sheet of plywood. Behind the plywood was an elevator door, brushed steel, expensive, out of place in an unfinished house. A keyless biometric pad glowed softly in the darkness. Mark connected his laptop to the terminal. His bypass script ran. Progress bar climbing, 95%, 96%, 100%. The doors hissed open. Mark stepped inside. The elevator descended. The display above the doors showed the depth. 10th, 20th, 50th. The deeper it went, the more the air seemed to thicken around him. He could feel the weight of the earth above, pressing down. When the doors opened, Mark stepped into hell. A circular room, massive, filled with server towers that glowed blue and green in the darkness. Hundreds of them, thousands of blinking lights. The hum of 1,000 fans created a sound so thick you could swim through it. Arthur Vance stood in the center of this room, waiting. He wore a tailored suit that probably cost more than Mark's car. $5,000, easy. In his right hand, he held a silver handgun, the kind that looked like it had never been fired, like it was just another fashion accessory. The security guard emerged from the shadows, a mountain of a man, muscles compressed into tactical gear. Mark didn't think. He grabbed the hard drive from his pocket and threw it like a frisbee. It tumbled through the air. The guard's hand came up to catch it or deflect it or... Mark tackled him. They crashed into a server rack. Cables ripped loose. Electricity crackled. Sparks exploded in white-hot cascades. Mark drove his knee upward. The guard absorbed it, twisted, and slammed Mark's head down toward the glass floor. The glass spiderwebbed on impact. Mark's vision blurred. The world tilted. But his hand found something. A jagged piece of a broken server casing, sharp as a knife. He drove it into the guard's thigh. Deep. The man screamed. Blood pooled on the cracked glass. Mark scrambled backward. His lungs were burning. His vision was starting to clear. Vance stood 15 feet away, the handgun still raised. The control booth was to the left. A small glass chamber with a heavy door. Mark ran. He hit the door hard enough that it slammed shut with a pneumatic hiss. He found the bolt, solid steel, and slid it home. Through the reinforced glass, Vance smiled. He pulled out a remote, pressed a red button. Hissing erupted from the ceiling vents. White gas began to fill the room. It came fast. Mark's eyes watered immediately. His throat tightened. He clawed at the ceiling vents, but they were too high. He looked at his laptop. The upload bar was frozen at 23%. The gas rolled in, thick and suffocating. Mark collapsed to his knees. His vision swam. Vance appeared on the other side of the glass, walking up to it with the casual stride of someone who had already won. He raised his wedding ring and tapped it against the glass. Tap, tap, tap. The sound reached Mark even through the roaring in his ears. Then Vance held up his phone. On the screen, police vehicles, multiple units. Arriving at Mark's house, SWAT team deployed. The text was clear. They weren't coming to help. They were coming for him. Mark's eyes closed, but something in his chest wouldn't let go. some current of defiance that refused to accept that this was how it ended. He crawled toward the far wall. His hands found a yellow panel. He grabbed the fire extinguisher from its mounting bracket and swung it like a club. The panel cracked. Behind it, a red lever. Mark pulled. Fresh air. A blast of it, clearing the gas. The compressor groaned. The hissing from the vents stopped. But Mark's laptop screamed. The hard drive was smoking. Hissing. The screen flashed. Wipe in progress. 45%. The data was being erased remotely. All of it. The surveillance feeds, the blackmail logs, the proof that Vance had been controlling the neighborhood like a puppet master. Mark watched as the deletion progress bar climbed. 50%, 55%, 60%. Then it hit him. The drive he was holding wasn't the original. During the fight, when he'd thrown it, the guard had swapped it. This one was a decoy. Vance had the real one, had it the entire time. The door exploded inward. Vance and the guard rushed in. The guard's leg was bleeding heavily, but he moved anyway, moving with fury now. Vance raised the handgun. His finger tightened on the trigger. Mark did the only thing he could think to do. He grabbed the smoking hard drive and slammed it against the corner of the metal desk. The outer shell cracked, splintered, and inside the lead shielding, in a slot so small it was invisible unless you knew to look, Mark saw it. A micro SD card, silver-edged, waiting. He jammed it into the side port of his phone. His thumb found the contacts list. All contacts plus public cloud. His finger came down on send. The phone chimed. The screen changed. Uploading recovery data. 100%. The data was already in the cloud, already sent to everyone. By the time anyone could stop it, it would be everywhere. Vance's face went white. His phone rang in his hand. He answered, listened. His jaw clenched. Then the SWAT team burst through the elevator doors from behind him. On the ground, now! Vance was forced to his knees. Handcuffs closed around his wrists with metal snaps. His face was the color of old concrete. Mark stood watching, his phone still in his hand. He opened the recovery file that had just finished downloading. The video showed a woman sitting in the control booth chair. Eleanor Vance, Arthur's wife. Her face was calm, peaceful, almost serene. She was giving orders to the security guard, measured, clinical. Arthur is a useful fool. Send the drive to Evans. Let them destroy each other. The timestamp was 2 hours ago. She was the architect of all of this. The bunker, the surveillance, the blackmail scheme. Arthur was just the puppet with the golden suit and the silver gun. She had orchestrated her own husband's destruction, and she had orchestrated it using Mark. Mark sat on his front steps as the sun rose. The blanket around his shoulders was thin. The ceramic mug in his hands was white and steaming. The coffee inside was strong and bitter. Behind him, the house was quiet. The street was quiet too. The morning had that quality of suspension, not quite day, not quite night. Golden light hitting the trees at an angle that made them look unreal. A black Cadillac turned onto Maple Drive. Slow, very slow. The engine barely audible over the birdsong. Mark recognized the car immediately. It rolled to a stop in front of his house. The rear window slid down with a soft, mechanical hiss. Eleanor Vance looked out at him. She didn't smile. She didn't wave. She simply looked at him with eyes that had calculated the exact trajectory of every consequence, every ripple in the pond that she had created. Her pearl necklace caught the morning light. She nodded. One short, sharp movement. Then the car accelerated. Tires whispered on the asphalt. A small cloud of dust kicked up from the road and drifted across the lawn. Mark looked down at his mug. His reflection wavered in the coffee surface. Steam rose in thin, wavering lines. The shaking in his hands had finally stopped. He lifted the cup to his lips, drank. The bitter warmth spread through him. One breath, then another. The neighborhood was waking up around him. Birds, wind in the leaves, the distant sound of someone's alarm clock through an open window. Life continuing. The surface of things, moving on as if the depths beneath had never existed. But Mark could feel them now. The cameras, the servers humming below, the data flowing through the hidden channels. Eleanor was gone, but the architecture remained. He understood something in that moment, sitting on his porch with the sunrise, that he would not have understood yesterday. The wrong box had arrived at his door, but it was still the wrong address. The camera beneath his house was still recording. And somewhere in the cloud, backed up and mirrored across 10,000 servers, Eleanor Vance's voice was still giving orders. Mark took another sip of coffee. The cup was warm in his hands now. He watched the street,